Excited to welcome to our program today Mr. Kerry Too Smooth. We're talking with him not only about his love of music, but what it's been like for him to share that literally with the world, and the way he's been able to see the way the people around the world have appreciated it. Kerry, thank you so much for the time today, man.
Glad to be here.
You know, when I was making this trip from Los Angeles, I was really excited we were able to work this out, because I think your story is one that people around the world can appreciate. You had a goal, you had a vision for yourself, and you've been able to see that realized. I mean, what has that been like for you to not only realize what your passion is, that being music, but then be able to share it the way you've been able to?
It's been a blessing, honestly, just to think about where I started from and where I came from, to be in the military, to have a vision, and to be able to inspire so many people. I get emails and I get comments on social media all the time talking about such an inspiration that I am to people. So it's really just a blessing just to be able to share my story on a daily basis and inspire others to go after their dreams as well.
Exactly. You know, you're in, one of those cities that everybody thinks about when it comes to fulfilling a dream, that being Los Angeles. I mean, could you have imagined, though, that the dream that you had would take you the places that it has?
Honestly, no. I mean, I've been all over the world. As a kid, I've never dreamt of going to Dubai, being in Morocco, going all over the world, literally playing an instrument that I love and I'm passionate about it, and inspiring so many people and just invoking so many emotions in people, just talking about, man, just listening to you play or seeing your life unfold in front of you is just amazing. So never would have thought so as a kid.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing I was noticing when I was prepping for this segment, and we talked about this even on Conversations Live, the radio show. You've been able to play with a lot of influential musical forces, but then on your own project, you've been able to bring other people along onto your own project. I mean, what has that part of it been like for you, to be with artists that you respect, and then to have artists respect you and want to be a part of what you're doing?
It's an amazing thing. You always want to be accepted, especially by people who are in the industry that have such an influence, and that they want your gift. They allow you to give you a platform to share your gift. And even so, speaking about people that are from my hometown, my first album, I really wanted to make it centered around people from Birmingham, Alabama, and give them a platform so that I can, introduce the world to them as well.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one of the things that impressed me about the radio interview that we did, because you really, and I talk about this being from next door in Mississippi, I talk about it with our audience all the time. It's not about where you start, it's where you desire to go, and having that vision to be able to go. I mean, is that just a part of who you are, to not only want success for yourself, but then, of course, to want others to be able to find their own success?
Definitely. It's all about giving back. If you're not able to give back, then I don't feel like you're fulfilling your commitment as a human being. Like, we all have a gift and we have a lane, so it's all about bringing other people on, because there's enough for us all to be able to be successful.
Right.
So I pride myself in giving back and reaching back and helping others to come to where they want to be.
I think that's what it's all about. For those who are just tuning in, either on the television side or online through Cyrus Webb Presents TV.com, you're watching, of course, our program here in Los Angeles. We're here with Mr. Kerry Too Smooth Marshall. We're talking with him not only about his love of music, but what it's been like for him to share that with others as well. And again, you've been involved in many facets of the music industry, not just as a musician, but also as a writer and being able to produce as well. Do you find that that's one of the things that keeps it fun for you, Kerry, being able to be a part of different aspects of this music?
It's definitely something that's really exciting, because, again, the creative process of being a producer, you get to create something for an artist that will last for a lifetime. Just being a part of being able to be a session guitarist on different artists' album, just knowing that your song and the stuff that you create, people will listen to it, they'll sing about it, they'll enjoy it for time, even when you're not even here. It'll be around after that. So it's really exciting to know that you can do that.
Yeah. You mentioned being able to travel around the world with your music. I mean, for those of us who are not as musically inclined or gifted in that way, we have no idea what that's like, to be up on a stage with an artist and to be able to share something that people are able to appreciate. What is that like for you? Because I mean, I've come to see it as almost a transference of energy from those who are giving it off, those musicians, those artists, and then, of course, those in the audience that are receiving that, but also giving their own energy back. Is that kind of what it's like for you?
It's definitely a crazy exchange of energy. Just being in an arena or a stadium and you're playing these songs, and just to hear the crowd, that we might not even be able to speak the same language, but they know the lyrics and they can sing when you break the music, and just to hear their voices fill the atmosphere, just singing the lyrics. Or if you see them when they have the lights on their phones and they're kind of holding it and waving it back and forth, you definitely feed off the energies. I can imagine it's like an athlete playing a sport, and just hearing the crowd kind of chant, it just makes them want to go even harder. So that same exchange of energy is like, that's what we experience when we're on stage all over the world.
Yeah. So how did you get over, we talked about this on the radio side, and I talk about it a lot with, I think, all of our audiences about fear. Because, I think for a lot of people, they look at what you're doing and they could say, well, that's very easy for him to say that because he's been able to do X, Y, or Z. I mean, how did you get to a place where you realized that what you had was bigger than where you started?
Honestly, for me, like I was telling you before on the radio show, just missing an opportunity to be a part of making this band and seeing some of my peers now that were on that show, where they are, and just I told myself I don't want to allow fear to handicap me anymore. I want to go after my dreams because it's really a now or never. I don't want to live with the regret of what if, that what if syndrome. So I just decided, like, look, I'm going to make a plan. I'm going to have a plan. I believe in my abilities, even if other people don't believe in my abilities. I believe. I want to try. And sometimes you have to understand that failure is a part of the process. It pushes you, it motivates you, it shows you that, look, I made a mistake on this. Let me go back and refine. Let me figure out what I can do to change. So I just said, like, I'm not going to allow fear be the reason why I don't get a chance to be successful.
Right. I think that's a great reminder for us all. So as you're looking ahead, here we are at the beginning of a new year. I think depending on when our viewers are actually able to see this, a lot of people are setting goals for themselves. They're thinking about where they want to be. Do you find yourself also being kind of pushed by the what's next? What can you do next musically to challenge yourself and to give something else to others?
Definitely. Every day is a new challenge. I'm thinking of different ways to even to campaign for branding, or either I'm working on a new album, so I'm thinking always, like, what can I do to refine the sound that I had from my first album to this album? Or I'm getting called to produce for different artists or work with different artists, and each artist wants what you bring to the table, but what can I do to enhance them? So it's always a challenge of what's next, and never staying complacent, never staying stagnant, but always trying to be refreshed and, like, regroup and always bring something fresh and positive to the table. Yeah,
a great reminder, I think, for all of us, no matter what our profession might be. So, Kerry, how can our viewers, how can they stay connected with you and keep up what's coming up next for you?
They can follow me on Instagram. It's I spell Kerry, Kerry, the number 2, Smooth, Smooth. You can follow me on YouTube. I think I'm maxed out on Facebook, but you can send me a friend request or send me a message, whatever, on Facebook. It's Kerry2SmoothMarshall. Or you can email me at Kerry2Smooth@gmail.com. And I'm an open book. You just hit me up, ask me whatever you want to ask me. I can give you whatever nuggets I can to help you be successful in whatever line of work you're in.
All right, man. And I know a lot of people will appreciate that because we don't get those kind of offers a lot. So I know they will appreciate that. Again, everyone, Kerry2SmoothMarshall has been our guest for this segment. Great conversation with you, Kerry. Make sure you all are staying connected with him online, as well as head over to Amazon.com and support the music as well. You definitely won't be disappointed. And Kerry, thank you so much for the time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor.
Glad you could join us for this edition of Cyrus Webb Presents.